Hello everyone, myself Vaibhav. I welcome all of you to today's session of Daily Stock, in which we are going to look at the financial earnings of a very important, very interesting company, the company about which everyone is talking about these days, NVIDIA. This is now I think I'm not precise here also, but my guess is now it is the fourth largest company by market capitalization in the world, and it has risen quite sharply in last year and a half. I think around November 2022, its valuation was somewhere close to US dollar 200 billion to 250 billion, and now here it is quite on a way quietly on a way to cross US dollar 2 trillion in coming weeks, if not in days. I think it is pretty much likely to cross and keep rising for a while, because it has been doing well and it has done spectacularly well in the last quarter, where its revenues have risen mainly on back of a huge increase in demand for the data center GPUs and related architecture solutions, and that has propelled it to the forefront of this change in the technological world. Now the AI is the not only the talk of town but main leading workhorse for many of the enterprises, for many earlier companies, slowly and steadily shifting to the use of generative AI for many of the companies needs and operations. And that is where the rise for the data center products is coming in, and Nvidia is the provider of many of these solutions, and that is one key reason why the Nvidia's revenues have grown so much in this year, and it is likely to keep rising for a while. And that is why I feel even after this stupendous rally its stock has seen in recent days, there is still scope, and all we have to do is keep looking for the opportunities to get involved and ride these stocks trajectory higher. Let us go into the key highlights of its earnings report, which was released yesterday, and that has caused its stock to surge by more than 15 percentage point, and it is showing no signs of stopping. For the full year, its revenues have now topped US dollar 22 billion, which is a record for the company. The center revenues stood at US dollar 18.4 billion, which is also a record in itself for the company. And that is where the main increase rise, because for other segments, the revenues have been more or less around the similar levels. But here, this is the key demand driver for the company, and that is where the growth has happened with 400% growth from year ago and 27% growth from a quarter ago. And there are not many times when you get to see these kind of numbers for a big established company. Of course, in case of startups, you can observe this kind of growth in revenue and net income, but for a big trillion-dollar market cap company, you don't really get to see this number. But here is a once in a while phenomena, and we are looking at this kind of revenue jump, and I have already listed all the reasons for why this is happening, because now the AI is slowly getting into the lives of everyday people, common people, and this has caused huge increase in demand for the Nvidia products. Let us look at its earnings bit in detail. and for its collaborations and new service and product offerings, you can refer to its quarterly earnings report, which is available on its investor relation page. There is a publicly available document, as I won't be able to take you through all these nitty-gritties and each single paragraph, each single detail. I would suggest you do the same. You can access this report in full. Here, I will be mainly concerned with the key highlights of the company is functioning company's business and what it is likely to be in near future. This key highlights for the data center operations have listed its collaborations and initiatives in different domains. Here, the Google, the Cisco, Singtail, and its partnership with the National Artificial Intelligence Resource Pilot Program. All these are listed, and as I said, I won't be able to take you through all these key initiatives because of the paucity of time. On the gaming front, the revenues have been quite steady with rise from a year ago. There has been a rise. The full year revenues have risen 15% to now US dollar 10.4 billion. It has also launched its G4 RTX GPU in different verticals, in different domains. It has products which are filling the needs of customers. Alright, here we have its condensed consolidated statement of income. And this is where the transformation of the company lies from a mid-sized company. Of course, it has been a top-line company for many years now, but it wasn't such a big player just a couple of years back. It was a 200, $300 billion company, and it was lagging other major tech players like Google, Amazon, and others. But now it has surpassed those tech giants in market cap, and I feel its growth story is on the different footing, and that is why I feel it is still likely to run on the higher side. Whereas for the other major tech giants, the revenues are not really likely to grow at this speed, at this scale, and that is where the difference lies, and that is why the market participants have been so enthusiastic about the Nvidia's stock lately. You can see for yourself the revenues are substantially higher with these full year revenues now crossing US dollar 60 billion from US dollar 26 billion a year back, and for the quarter the revenues have topped US dollar 22 billion with gross profit of almost US dollar 17 billion. So you have this company which has a fabulous operating margin. Its net income is almost half of its revenue, so it has a fabulous margin where a lot of money it is generating is simply returned to the shareholders and reinvested for the future innovations. So we have this increase almost 8 times increase in the net income with it rising now to US dollar 12.2 billion from just US dollar 1.4 billion a year back, and this is a big change in the earnings of the company. For the full year, the revenues are now in the ballpark of US dollar 30 billion, which is almost 6 to 7 times of what it was earning just a year back. And similar performance is also there to see in its stock market valuations. Let us see how it is generating and utilizing all these cash. For that, we need to take a look on its cash flow statement. The company generated US $12.2 billion in the positive cash from its net income. Out of that, it has spent money on the company's operations. So we get a net cash increase of US dollar 11.5 billion by operating activities. And here also you can see the difference between the two quarters of two different years, the same quarters of two different years. And coming to the investing activity, the company has gone to make purchase of marketable securities, and that has taken out 7.5 billion out of its cash flows. Last year, the purchase was on the lower side, so it is simply parking its funds to these marketable securities instead of keeping it in pure cash. And for the financing, the cash flow has risen with the net cash outflow of US 3.6 billion, which is also 2 billion higher because it has made higher payments for the repurchase of common stock. So it has started paying to its shareholders and opting for a buyback program as well. And even after all this, we have this change in cash and cash equivalents at positive side with a US dollar 1.7 billion increase in its cash at hand. So with these cash flows, the company's cash holding has now risen to US dollar 7.28 billion, which is a huge reserve, and it can freely utilize this resource to deploy where it deems fit, enabling it to scale up its operations and jump on any opportunity it sees in its business environment. Now let us go to the technical side of the story and see its stock price performance. And this sharp jump from 662 to 780 is telling you the same story in more direct ways. As the company's market valuation has jumped, I feel that we have been following this company's stock price performance for a while now. I think last time around also I had done the session on the performance of the Nvidia, and that time around the company stock tended to be in the vicinity of 500. I'm not exactly remembering the date now. Let me go back in time. And when its results had came in last time around, it was somewhere close to this 450 500 mark. And there also I was quite optimistic about the prospects of the Nvidia, and somewhere around here we had done the session, and since then the trajectory has been bullish, and particularly after the start of the year it has risen almost 30 percentage point, not 30, I think around 60 percentage point, and it is showing no signs of stopping yet. And I feel that even after this sharp move on the higher side, it still has run room to continue moving higher. But of course we can't simply get involved at any time. We also have to look at the risk reward ratio, and appropriate avenues, appropriate opportunity also needs to be there for us to jump in and profit, because after its gap of opening, if you look at its intraday performance, it has been trading flat after the initial jump, and that underscores the significance of the entry point, and that is why I feel we will have to now start looking for the entry point which is going to be such that we will have the risk reward ratio in a favorable manner. Even though the trajectory is bullish, we still have to keep making efforts to find optimum entry and exit points for us to profit from this bullish run on the Nvidia. And because we have all the excitements being generated by the company's revenue, but we will still need to be patient, and after having seen the substantial rise in the stock price of the Nvidia, I feel for next couple of sessions it is better for us to stay on the sidelines rather than getting involved. And if the Nvidia stocks hold and keeps consolidating anywhere in the vicinity of 750, 740, then after a due consolidation we will be in a better position to jump in and buy it at appropriate time with a good risk reward ratio. But for next couple of sessions, for the short term trading patterns, you will have to simply sit on the sidelines, and then maybe by the end of next week we will have the opportunities which are going to be more optimum for the short term trading perspective. From the medium term, the story is not really much different here also. It is sitting on the top with already sharp move on the higher side, and here also now the price zone of around 700 is going to be crucial, and as long as it keeps holding above this immediate swing low, I feel we can continue to bet on its bullish stance. But here also it is a bit difficult for us to go for the new trade, new investment decision, because we will have to also factor in the possibility that if it simply enters into a consolidation phase and doesn't really move much, neither on the upside nor on the downside, in such a scenario we won't be winner, we will be actually loser. So we do need to keep that possibility in mind also. And from the medium term perspective, it is not really a ideal location to get involved. Maybe it is better for us to sit on the sidelines and allow at least few weeks of consolidation before we can make our mind of getting and going long in the Nvidia stock again. From the long term perspective, it has started to rally from around 500 level, and it is on the top of its price range. And here also I feel at least a couple of months are needed for it to consolidate and then give us a newer long-term trading opportunity. Right now, if you are a long-term investor, it is better for you to sit on the sidelines amidst all these excitement about the stock. It is not really possible many a times to ignore the excitement and adopt a cautious view, but I think that is more appropriate at the current juncture on these elevated valuations. I'm not really saying that these valuations are not justified. Of course, these valuations are justified, and that is why we are not looking to go short even on these higher levels. I still feel there is further room for the stock to continue growing, but then we also have to keep the other considerations of risk reward ratio and optimum entry in mind, and for that we will need to wait for the better opportunities. So regardless of what is your time horizon, from short term to medium term to long term, I simply feel that a consolidation is needed, and only after that we can think about a fresh investment or trading decision in the Nvidia stock. where the buy on dips is a good strategy to adopt, and all we need is a dip and afterwards a consolidation before we can jump in and ride the wave higher. So that's all from my side for today's session of Daily Stock, in which we looked at the financial report of the Nvidia along with its stock price performance, and everything is on the roll for the Nvidia. Its stock is rallying higher, its revenue is rising and rising, and there seems to be nothing that is going wrong on any front. But even in these heady times, we do need to adopt cautionary view and wait for better opportunity, not in terms of other stocks, but simply in terms of timing for us to profit from this bull run in the Nvidia. That's all from my side. For any query or any idea to share, do write to me in the feedback, and I will be more than happy to take the discussion forward. If you have found the session informative and useful for your trading and investment decision, do write to me in the feedback, and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. You can also like and subscribe to the channel to get equally informative sessions update, and you will get wide variety of views and offerings on the Academy's page, because we have other hosts also who stream daily on a variety of topics. So do check it out. Thank you all for joining in. Have a